Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Claret Blue podcast. I'm delighted to say we're joined by a very special guest today, Dean Saunders. Dino, how are you?
Evening, everyone. Yeah, great.
We're going to take you on a bit of a nostalgic wander down memory lane. We'll go back to the beginning of your Villa career, which was back in September 92, I think. Just give us a little flavour of how it came about, because I'm not sure us as Villa fans then thought we could prize away a key player from Liverpool, but give us a bit of background in that if you can.
It was a bit strange, really, because I'd gone to Liverpool and I got 23 goals, I think. Yeah, it's 23. Graham Souness seemed to be under a bit of pressure. And he called me in one day into the office and he said, look, Ron Atkinson's been on the phone. He rang up about a couple of other players and he mentioned your name. You know, I need some money from somewhere. Got to buy a centre-back. I don't particularly want to let it go. But Ian Rush is 31. You're obviously the most saleable asset I've got. So I couldn't believe what he was saying to me. And I went, so are you trying to tell me that you're prepared to let me go? You know, and I said a couple of things which remains between me and him. And he knows what I said. And I, not swearing. I was too scared of him. But I said a few own truths to him. He said, so do you want to speak to Ron Atkinson? So I walked out in a bit of shock, really. I said, well, I'll have to think about it. And then Ron worked his magic charm, didn't he? So he's phoning me up, Dino. He's on the phone, Dino, come and play for me. Anyway, we played Chelsea on the Saturday for Liverpool. I started the game and I scored the winner. And then Sunday morning, I was at Ron's house. He wants me and he's prepared to let me go. Yeah. So I just thought it was beginning of the end for me. You know, if the manager's going to do that. Obviously, Ron told me that we were going to. At one point, I thought he was going to say to me, "I think we can win the World Cup with Aston Villa." He tried everything else. That day, I scored against Chelsea. He went on the pitch and said, "I'm going to try and sign Saunders." He calls me. You don't even call me by my proper name, Dean Saunders. And anyway, I took a wage cut. He said, look, I can't afford to pay you what you're getting paid. But if you do well for us, I will put your wages back to what they were. For a couple of years where we won the cup and I got 20 odd goals, we come second. I thought I had enough ammunition. You know, the club's got into Europe, so they're going to make a load of money. And I thought I had some ammunition. So I knocked on his door. Gaffer, just want to come see you. Like you said, you're going to put my wages back to where they were. He went, "I'll work that out." I said, well, I got 20 goals. We should have won the league. We come second, got into Europe. Then I scored 2 in the cup final against Man United. I said, so we've got into Europe again with that one. And he goes, this is Aston Villa, son. This is Aston Villa. We are expected to do those types of things. I said, so also, I won Player of the Year. He went, I never voted for you. I just walked out. And then eventually I did sign a new contract. But it still wasn't what I was earning when I was at Liverpool. But, you know, I loved it. It was 3 years, I think I was there. It was the most comfortable I felt as a footballer. I knew it was my job to get the goals for the team. And we had a really good team, obviously. And I looked round and I thought, well, there's 6 or 7 of our team here would get in every single team in the league. Paul McGrath, Ray Houghton, Steve Staunton, Bosnich, Dalian, Dwight York, Gary Parker, Kevin Richardson, all. I've left a few out. Steve Froggatt made me a load of goals. Andy Townsend then. And we had some characters. We had Earl the Pearl at right back. Smalley only used to play against Man United. And that was a comedy sketch in itself. The way Ron used to talk to him in training. It was absolutely hilarious. We had, I never forget, one day, Ron was ruining training every day. He played right wing every day. And whoever's team he was on normally lost, right? Because because he's 28 stone and he's trying to play right wing. He has first pick and he's the captain and he's the referee. So what he does, if his team's losing, he starts cheating, giving decisions and all that. But then he introduced this new rule that if the game ever gets 3 goals difference, he stops the game and the team's getting beat by 3 goals up to the bank at Bodymore Heath and back, all the way up and back, right? So what he forgot was the winning team are all stood around. The team who were doing well, they're all fed up because he stops the game, all the time. So they're like, anyway, it was starting to get to the lads. So we called a meeting and it was me, Andy Townsend and Kevin Richardson. Jim comes in, Gaffer's coming in. So he walks in, he goes, right, what's all this about? What's this? And Kevin Richardson, Gaffer, we just got a couple of things that we want to run by you. You're ruining training with that bank and back. Lads are fed up. You up to the bank and back. He goes, well, if you don't run in the game, we can run in different ways. It's up to you. He goes, yeah, but Gaffer, you keep spoiling the game. He went, I've got a good idea. Why don't you 3 play and I'll manage? How about that for an idea? So we're going, right, Smalley's the next one, right? He comes in the morning. He's like a nervous wreck because all you do is hammer him. He goes, well, what do you want me to say to him? He keeps giving the ball away. Well, try and put your arm around him and give him a pat on the back now and again. All right, point taken. I'll manage. You play. Let's go. So we walked out. That was a waste of time. So we start the game off, and Ron's right wing, isn't he? He's playing right wing. So Smalley is playing in his team at left back, and Smalley comes into the middle of the pitch, and Ron makes a run down the channel, and all Smalley's got to do is side foot it in his path, and Ron's clean through on goal, and he shanks the side foot pass out of play. And Ron's turned round. He's gone, Smalley. Unlucky, Brian. Never mind, pal. Good lad. Keep your chin up. Yeah, well, unlucky, Brian. Unlucky. He's gone. And as he's walking away, under his breath, he's gone, that's going to do him a lot of good, isn't it? It was a comedy sketch in itself. Well, but we used to every day, everything that came out of his mouth was funny. He was brilliant at tactically and man management. He was brilliant at spotting what was wrong. He knew at half time what was wrong, and he'd change it. That's obviously what he was good at. Yeah. But the rest of his antics. I spoke to him yesterday, actually. He was with his mate, and they're playing golf at is it Kings Norton? He was playing today, oh, yeah. And so that's good. I thought he's still playing golf. 80, was he 87 now? Something like that. 86. Yeah, he took the phone off and he's going, Dino, when you come in to play golf with me. So it's great that we can still speak to him. But I enjoyed it. We had a good team, didn't we? Then a really good team.
Well, I was, so I'm a Villa fan. I was on the Holte End, so I'd probably look a bit older than that. I'm 47, but so back in the early 90s, I've been like 14, 15 years old. And it was just, do you remember they used to have on Match of the Day, Life of Riley by the Lightning Seeds? Every time it was Goal of the Month, they used to have this tune by the Lightning Seeds. And you could guarantee that Villa would have 2 or 3 entries in Goal of the Month every month. And I was going to ask you, well, I'll tell you what, I'll take you back to your home debut, because that was the one, wasn't it, when won 4-2 and you scored twice against Liverpool on your home debut. Did you know then that you were at the right place? You know, every centre forward wants to get off the mark, don't they? But did you know then that this was a good fit for you, this Villa team? It was strange because I played with all the lads the week before in the tunnel line. When we were walking out, it was like strange. And then when I went out at Villa Park, and right away the crowd were right behind me, and it, obviously because I'd signed it, gave the place a bit of a lift.
And because we were playing Liverpool as well, it's like every time you play against Liverpool, it's like the FA Cup final. Even now, when Liverpool are playing at your stadium, everybody wants to go to the game. And I found that when I played for Liverpool, teams raise themselves. Every game's like a cup final. And it's not your talent, it's your attitude and your approach. You know, before I come on this show with you, I had a look at Villa's fixtures coming up. And the players must look at the fixtures, because we used to look at the next fixtures. If you can't get yourself up for the next game and play to the way you can play, you can't play for a big club. I've realised there's loads of talented players, but can they get up on Tuesday night against young boys and then go to Old Trafford on Saturday and actually play and do the things that you're good at that got you to a big club? You can be talented and get to a big club, but after you get there, it's all about your mental approach, you know, and how you can actually personal pride in your performance, looking across at the people you're playing against, thinking, I know you're going to try and stop me scoring today, but there's no chance you can stop me scoring today. But you've got to do that 3 times a week when you play for a big club. If you're not in Europe and you're out of the FA Cup, no disrespect, the team's in the bottom half of the Premier League, they're different animals. On the bench, there's better players than you. Sitting there going, go on then, if you have a couple of bad games, I'm in, and you might never get your shirt back. Because they're good players, good squads. So I did think the fans are behind me in my first game, and the place was buzzing. And strangely enough, I come off the pitch and I hit the outside of the post for a hat-trick. And that's all I could think about. I was thinking, like, I should have got a hat-trick there.
I bet Ronnie Rosenthal was more gutted than you, because that's the famous one, isn't it? When he misses the sitter in front of the Holte End. Yeah. Did you get a feeling it was going to be our day then?
Well, I remember watching him. You know, he's gone round the keeper, and he's like, I'm thinking, I was just waiting for him to just roll it over the line, and he's hit the bar. And then when I watched it back, I watched it closely. He must have got a bobble, but he didn't. It didn't bobble. I've lost count of the number of people that have come up to me over the years and said, hey, remember that chance Ronnie Rosenthal missed? He said against Villa. I said, yeah, I was playing in that game. Yeah, I played in that game. That was my first game. And they went, was it? Yeah, but so the game's remembered. Yeah. That game is remembered for Ronnie Rosenthal's miss.
That's a nightmare, that is, though, when you've scored a brace on your debut and you're overshadowed by somebody missing a sitter. That doesn't seem fair, does it? That
I didn't mind. I thought, right, you know, I've got to make a success of my Villa career now. You know, I was like a streak scorer. Once I started scoring, I got on a roll. I just expected to score every game, and then I'd always go 7 or 8 games without scoring. The biggest compliment I can give Ollie Watkins, after managing myself, is he must be some player if the manager keeps picking him when he's not scoring. And I've always said that to strikers I've managed, coached. If you score goals and work hard, you're in. Doesn't matter how big you are or how quick you are. If you score goals and work hard, that'll do for me. But when you're not scoring, which we all go through that spell, why am I picking you? Are you a passenger? Because if you are, you can't score when you sat next to me. You've got to stay out on that pitch. And you've got to affect the way the team plays. So the manager's got to look at you and think, forget he hasn't scored for 10 games. If I don't play him, everybody comes towards the ball. And when he comes through this patch, if I ever see him, I'll remind him of how he played at the start of this season, where he couldn't get goals, but Villa is 6th in the league, doing well in the Europe, and he's still in the team. It's a good sign.
And that was the kind of fundamental of your career as well, wasn't it, Dino, in terms of you would get those goals in patches. And doing my homework, I think you scored 3 braces after you played Leeds away on your debut. Then after that Liverpool game, I think you scored 2 in the next game and 2 in the next game. But you were a centre forward that even if you didn't score goals, you'd be noticed because you'd be putting the graft in, wouldn't you? Is that something that you kind of prided yourself on throughout your career?
Yeah, well, my dad played. Obviously, my dad played for Liverpool for 12 years and then got transferred to Swansea when he was 31, and then met my mum and stayed there all his life. So I used to get a bit of guidance off my dad. And when I think back to what my dad used to say to me, it was normally, you're not putting enough into your game. Running out of the box. You don't score goals running out of the box. You score goals running in the box and being on the move in the box. And you're still not putting enough into your game. And what does that mean? I used to walk away thinking, what does that mean? I'm not putting enough into my game. Basically, it's turning 50-50 balls into yours and chasing lost causes and trying to turn them into something. I never found running hard. I just thought, right, you four and the goalkeeper. And I played with Ian Rush all my career with Wales. And we would say to each other, right, who should we let have the ball today? We'd have a field day today, the way they're playing out from the back. It would be just like, it's like Christmas Day every day. We would set traps for the opposition and we would find the weak link and we'd let the ball, it's not rocket science, we'd just let the ball go to him all day. Yeah. So what we do, we'd press the right side centre half, make him pass it to the left side centre half. I would then press from the inside of the left side centre half and make him pass it to the left back. We thought the left back wasn't very good on the ball. Yeah. And he'd give us the ball back. So that's what we used to do all game. And we never used to talk about how many goals we were going to score. We should just talk about who are we going to catch with the ball today. Yeah. You know, that was my job when I played with Dalian. I had to persuade him into that way of thinking, which was difficult. And we all miss Dalian. I still can't believe he's not here. And, you know, sometimes I can see his face now. And when I see Dalian's face, he's laughing his head off. He's in the dressing room, hilarious. Some days he was actually unstoppable. I was playing next to him, and a bit like Haaland, Dalian could have days like that, where he couldn't do it every week, but he had days where he'll just destroy people with his pace and power. And when he was bang at the races, some games he didn't feel like playing football. And Ron loved him, but as a manager, you know, he's like, what's wrong with him this week? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with you this week? You know, like it was, and Dalian be going, oh, me again, blaming me again. And like they used to argue every week. It was like hilarious. So me and Dalian used to get it every week off Ron. Ron said to me when I signed, go and room with Dalian and actually try and tell him what it's like to be a proper professional. That was his first thing he said to me. So I went in the room. I said to Dalian, I'll do all the running. You take all the whacks. Jump for all the headers and take all the whacks. And I'll do all the running. And Dalian went, oh, my God. I've been waiting for this. And we just hit it off. And then obviously we had Dwight come into the mix as well. Dwight was a great player as well. So, and Dalian was a great player. We'd have won the league if he hadn't got injured.
Why do you think you were such good mates off the pitch? Was it just you both got this kind of sense of mischief and you both like winding up Ron, or what made you click away from the pitch?
We used to have a lot. We used to be laughing every day. Like I said to Bozzy one day, Mark Bosnich, I said, right, when we do shooting practice today, only try for me and Dalian shots. Right? Let all the others in. Don't even dive. Just let them in, like, and say, or pretend you've got wrong-footed. So obviously you got Steve Staunton and Ray Houghton and all that laying the ball into Ron. Ron's laying them off, and they're just smashing the ball, and Bozzy's not even diving, right? And then when me and Dalian shoot, he's trying, like, saving them, you know, getting off the floor. And then in the end, everyone's noticing he's not diving. So Ron's gone, hey, Bozzy, any chance of you diving, by the way? He said, I don't dive for shots for people who never shoot on a Saturday. I only dive for the players I think are decent, that are capable of scoring past me on a Saturday. So me and Dalian are laughing. I know it's childish. The next day then, we'd say, like, right, shut the M6, Teely's shooting. So make sure you put phones out on the M6. It's going to cause an accident. His shots are going. And then one day, Dalian's running. We're playing a practice match, and Dalian's going, Dino, stop the game. Ron stops the game. He went, it's Mr. Saunders to you. Don't be shouting Dino to him until you've achieved what he's achieved in the game. And Dalian's gone, you what? I can see him doing it now. Effing this and effing that. He's going like, I'm the laugh. But Ron was just winding him up. And he says, yeah, you're not allowed to call him Dino. And he took it serious, Dalian. And he's going, you're having a laugh. And he walked off.
It was such a, I mean, listen, from the outside looking in as Villa fans, not only did we see like really entertaining, swashbuckling football most weeks, but just we could see the vibe. And obviously you wouldn't have had social media then, but like when the club released, I think the club released some like VHS tapes, and it was always behind the scenes footage, and it'd be you and Dalian just kind of almost this double act, this comedy double act. It was brilliant to see.
Before we go any further, we're playing. We got at Liverpool away, right? And Dalian, we get on the bus outside the training ground, Bodymore Heath. We're going to travel up to Liverpool, and Dalian gets on. We sit at the front, and all the press has stood around Guy Whittingham. And Dalian goes, hey, Dino, he's leaving me out tomorrow. Look, why are all the press talking to Guy? He must be playing Guy. He's leaving me out. I went, no, there's no way he'll leave you out at Anfield. He goes, I'm telling you, he's leaving me out. So we travel up. He says, as Guy gets on the bus, he goes, Guy, are you playing tomorrow? He went, I don't know. He said, well, what's all the press around you for? He goes, I don't know. He said, no one said anything to me. We're in the hotel, and then we go down for pre-match meal Friday night. The gaffer's mate, Phil Black, he's got a clothes shop in Manchester. He brings a rail of suits in the dining room. So Dalian gets up, because he's Jack the lad. He gets up and starts trying jackets on. Right, so he's taking one off, and he's putting these jackets on, and he's going, all right, girls. And Ron's eating his dinner, watching him. And Ron went, hey, Dalian, you won't get into a reserve game wearing that. He went, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? He goes, I'm just saying they won't allow you to come into a reserve game wearing that. He goes, oh, I get it. You're not playing me tomorrow, are you? Huh? Is that what you're trying to say? He goes, by the way, you were a good player, weren't you? What was your nickname? The Tank. I was thinking he's trying to get himself out the team. He's called Ron the Tank. And then he goes back to the room. He said, he's not playing me. I told you, didn't I? I told you. We get up in the morning, go for a walk, and we sit down in the meeting. And Ron went, is everybody all right for the game today before I tell you what's happening? And Dalian went, I'm not. Pulled my hamstring on the walk. And he goes, what do you mean you pulled your hamstring? He said, I pulled my hamstring walking. He goes, so Ron goes, I get it. He goes, tell you what, we'll abandon the meeting and we'll come back in 10 minutes. So I've gone to Dalian, what are you doing? He goes, he's not picking me. I know he's not going to pick me. So Jim Barron comes up to me, he goes, tell your mate he's starting tomorrow. Don't be an idiot. Tell him he's starting the game tomorrow. So we go back in the meeting and we sit down, and Ron goes, right, let's start again. Is everybody fit for the game today? And Dalian went, no, my hamstring's a bit tight. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, what do you mean? So he picks the team, and Dalian's on the bench. He puts him on the bench, right? Because he said I'm not fit. He got himself out the team. He was playing, right? He's on the bench. Can you remember? He's come on and scored a worldie goal. So I said to him when we getting changed, I said, what have you done, you idiot? He goes, no, it was a double bluff. It was a double bluff. I can't say I was injured and then say I'm all right, can I? That's what he was trying to. And then he was going to leave me. He was going to leave me out. I know what he was doing. He wasn't. He was starting. He just got himself out the team. He come on and scored an unbelievable goal at Anfield. We won the game, I think. I think we won the game. I think it was that year. His relationship with Ron as well was hilarious because Ron loved him. And Ron was saying, like, he could be anything. He could be like the Ballon d'Or winner. He could be anything if he could just apply himself properly every week. And Dalian would just like argue back. Like Tourette's. He hasn't, not proper Tourette's.
Yeah.
He couldn't stop answering him back every week. It's hilarious.
Actually, let's stay on the topic of Dalian, because you were saying that if you'd have stayed fit in your first year, you reckon that team probably should have gone on and won the title, shouldn't they? That year. There were so many near misses. So just talk us through what it was like, that kind of disappointment at the end, because, at one stage it looked like it was Aston Villa's title, didn't it?
Steve Stoneman scored a great goal at Old Trafford, didn't he? Hit across it, left foot in the stanchion. Yeah. And right at the last minute, I think Cantona got behind Smalley, back post, I think, and scored, didn't he? Stopped us getting the points. And if we'd have won that game, obviously there'd have been a bigger gap. And I remember we played Oldham at home, and I hit a free kick. I just hit through it from about 30 yards, and it hit the underside of the bar and come out. And they scored against us and they beat us. And then on the TV, when we went in the dressing room, they were still playing at Old Trafford, 97th minute. Steve Bruce scored 2, didn't he, in the 90 minutes, and Brian Kidd runs on the pitch, sliding on his knees, and that's where it went a bit pear-shaped for us. And obviously Dalian couldn't play in the last few games. Only one team can win the league. And if you ask all of the runners-up, it cost, like Arsenal last year, it cost us in that game. But, you can pick games, can't you, where it's cost you. And then obviously the nerves when there's no games left, the games are running out and you're going like, you can't afford to draw this game. We can't draw a game. We've got to win every game to win the league. So that I was gutted then that we didn't win the league there, because when I got there, we were 12th. And we went bang, bang, bang. Before Christmas, I think we were top. And then Norwich were fighting as well. That was funny. Poor Ugo Ehiogu as well. I must give him a mention. Ugo, not with us. We've lost Ugo. And we've lost Cyril Regis as well. Like Cyril was part of that. And Les Seeley. Yeah. Les played his part. So we've lost a few players. We've lost Jim Paul, Doug Ellis. I was looking at it the other day, the amount of players that... So every day, you never know what's around the corner. Every day is a bonus, I think. I'm going to try and... If I want to play golf, I'm going to play golf. If I want a pint of lager, I'm going to have a pint of lager. If I want to go on holidays, I'm going on holidays, because you don't know what's coming next. But Hugo... And if Dalian was here now, sitting on this podcast, he'd be laughing his head off, and he'd be contributing. He'd have stories contributing to this podcast. And Hugo, who was... So we used to have practice matches, and Smalley and Hugo used to play against me and Dalian, and we couldn't get a kick. They were both like lightning, both strong, and both really good. As they showed, they went on to play. He was playing against 2 kids in the youth team, but they weren't. They were like, Ron didn't realise how good Smalley and Hugo were. So in training, they were beating us in training. The reserves, and Ron's going, unbelievable. I go, well, hang on, I can't get a kick against Hugo. And he's one of them players that treads on your Achilles as well. He had massive feet, but really, really good player. And he made his debut, didn't he? Paul McGrath went missing. Paul's disappeared, and Paul was injured. Hugo stepped in. Norwich at home, if you remember. And I think he had a back pass to Mark Robbins that got intercepted, and then another goal. It was his fault. Right. And Ron, we come in the dressing room after the game, and Ron, I think he was 19, Hugo. Like, Ron comes in, and he couldn't help laughing, right, at the way he said it. He went, Ugo, I'll tell you what, pal, I've seen some nightmares on their debut, but that's up there. That is up there, son. Hey, it can only get better from now, son, so don't worry about it. It can only get better. and then it was the Player of the Year award. Was it the NEC maybe? I don't know where it was. We had a big pact. And Ron got up to do the presenting Paul McGrath with Player of the Year. And he goes, and while I'm up here, I might as well present Norwich City's Player of the Year, Ugo Ehiogu. Poor Ugo. When he was alive, we used to laugh at that. That was most memorable of Ugo.
What was it like scoring a goal at the Holte End? Tell us what it felt like.
Well, yeah, like Gabby's on. I work on Talk Sport now, and Gabby's on there as well. And that's what we got in common, me and Gabby. We both scored in the Holte End, and we know what it's like. So we sometimes say that when we're on the air. I try and wind the Birmingham fans up because when they start asking me about derbies I played in, derby matches, Liverpool, Everton, Swansea, Cardiff, Galatasaray, I start naming them. What about Villa, Birmingham? I said, well, I never played against them really. They were always in the league below. Right. Which I'm joking. They were in the league below, but we did play them in the cup, if you remember.
Is that the one when Paul Tate sent Kevin Richardson over the advertising hoarding?
Yeah, and goals I scored at the Holte End. I think the one I scored against Birmingham, where I sat on the floor after I've gone round the keeper, and I ended up sitting on the floor facing the fans on the byline. So I've gone round the keeper and slotted it. They were all appealing for offside, weren't they? I went clean through. And I do remember I sat on the floor looking up at the fans, and it was like I could see all the faces. And I just thought, because of who we're playing against, that goal, all the faces were like as if they've just won the lottery. Because I can remember that clearly, thinking that is like they're going to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they've got one up on all the Blues fans. I remember playing at Wembley against Man United. And we won the game, didn't we? And I was running around the pitch after the game celebrating. And one of the fans was pointing at the ground. Like, what's he? I'm thinking one of the Villa fans pointing at, like, as if to say, get that for me. Like, he's going, get that for me. I was going, what? Like, I was pointing at my boots. He was pointing at a big, massive divot in the grass, right? So I picked the divot up. It was about that big, massive, like rolled up divot. And I threw it over the fence. I didn't think anything more of it. And about 6 months later, I got a picture from a Villa fan. He put the divot in his garden. He put as the pitch, and he got Subbuteo goals at each end of the divot. And he's got Subbuteo men, Aston Villa, and Man United.
Oh, brilliant.
In his garden. Yeah, so he got a bit of Wembley in his garden. So that was funny. But it's a great club, and I'm really pleased they're doing well now. And, Unai Emery's done a great job. And I always said people don't realise how big a club it is, Aston Villa. Massive club.
I remember talking about the Holte End. I remember, when you scored the goal against Ipswich on the half volley.
Yeah.
When Ray Houghton's played a little ball for you.
Yeah.
And back then, the Holte End was obviously a standing terrace, and it was to be on. I mean, obviously, we'd have preferred to be on your side of it, and being the one who's scoring the goal. But to be in that Holte End, then I reckon you and Dalian and some of the guys back then are probably responsible for me getting like cigarette burns. It'd be like a heaving mass of humanity, like a tidal wave. You'd move 40 yards when the goal, when the ball hits the net, and you'd just be celebrating with random strangers and stuff. But it was that one against Ipswich. I mean, back then, if you'd have told me, I thought it was about 100 yards out that you'd have scored it. I think it's probably nearer to 40 yards out. But just that anticipation of it hitting the net, it's just remarkable.
Yeah, well, they're spectacular. There's different types of goals in there. There's spectacular goals, which you remember that. I had bread and butter goals, which was how I earned a living. I was a poacher. I used to poach goals. I used to anticipate where the ball was going to go. The number of goals I scored where somebody crossed the ball into the middle of the goal and it hits the defender's shin, and I'm the first to react and hook it in, like tap-ins. I scored lots of scruffy goals like that, which weren't lucky. They were like, I used to follow in goalkeeper. I knew which-handed the goalkeeper was. I knew if Steve Ogrozovic was diving to his left, I had more chance of him dropping it.
Yeah,
I'd be on his fingertips. Anybody shot in the game, I'm going to poach a goal out of him dropping one on the. Some goalkeepers drop crosses. I used to know during the week who dropped a cross, and when he went for the cross, I used to be right underneath him. And before the ball hit the ground, I'd be poking it in. And so then there was an important goals. So the spectacular goals, which happen now and again, they meant that goal against Ipswich meant the same as the one I scored at Hillsborough from Ian Taylor's shanked shot.
Yeah.
I tapped it in a yard out, but that's my favourite goal ever because I read it and I've been thinking about it for 6 months. If he ever gets in that position, I'm going to get on the far post and get a tap in. And you get, so there's goals like that. And then there's the important goals where the club has paid 2.9 million for me. And it's not to score, no disrespect, it's not to score against Norwich. It's to score against Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, because we're trying to win the league.
Yeah.
So if they pay all that money for you, they're expecting you to make the difference in the big games or actually come up with a goal out of nothing because you're earning so much money and you cost so much money to the club. That's why they get you there. I think the important goals, no matter what they look like, I had to come up with a goal at the right time. And even the penalty I scored at Wembley, that's an important goal because it was 2-1.
Yeah.
And I knew if I scored, we'd won. And there was 5 minutes left. I knew if I missed, it could be my fault if they score another one, and we end up not winning the cup. Yeah, I scored the winner for Galatasaray against Fenerbahce. That's an important goal. Any derby match, important goals, no matter what they look like, they should count as two important goals.
Did you feel the pressure of that price tag when you came? Because you were a record signing at the time. Is that something that you ever felt the pressure of, or did you just kind of back yourself?
I think I got 14 goals for Swansea when I was a kid. In like 49 games or something, when I was like 18. I could always nick a goal, that was my sport what I was good at. And then I went to Brighton and I got 20 odd goals for Brighton. And then I went to Oxford and got 20 odd. And then I went to Derby and got 20 odd. So by the time I got to Liverpool and Villa, I actually had a bit of confidence in myself that I could score. I actually knew what I thought. I know what I'm doing. I know how to score goals and and obviously you've got to have the drive and the determination to want to do it. How much does a goal mean to you? Some players would rather an assist than actually scoring. Well, the only reason I'm passing the ball is if I can't score.
Yeah.
That's right. That was my motto. If I can't score, I'll think about passing it to someone else. But my first thought is, I see the posts and that's it. Can I score from here? No. Give it to someone else then. But my first thought was always that. But so when I come to Villa, I already knew what to do. I was confident that I could score goals at that level.
I'll tell you what I remember about you. One of the things it's really silly, really. One of the things I remember as a player, and this is what we do now. If I'm playing five-a-side with me knackered old mates now on a Sunday night or whatever, do you remember you putting your tongue out to concentrate? So
yeah, still do.
There's always so whenever like somebody's kind of concentrating to do that, or whether you're playing golf or pool or whatever, and somebody pops the tongue out, it's always referred to as a Dino in my group of mates.
Well, I didn't even know I was doing it. Every picture I have, my tongue's out, isn't it? But And I never forget, I was playing for Derby, and I went up the driving range and I had a sky blue t-shirt on. And you know when you get back in the car and you sort of like go like that with your hair. And when I looked in the mirror, I had a wet patch on my shirt there. And I thought, what's that? When I was turning back, look, my tongue was hitting my shirt. Do you know who else does it? Nick Faldo.
All right, you're in good company then.
I don't actually bite my tongue with both sets of teeth. I rest it on my bottom lip and bite on with my top teeth. Because people used to say to me, I can't believe you've not bitten your tongue off.
Yeah.
Or someone's just not gone like that under your chin. And I said, well, it's not in the middle of the two sets of teeth. It's like on one. But yeah, I don't know why. I don't know where it come from.
Tell us the story. And I think they happened one day after the other. I think Ron threw the teacup at you. Was it? I think it was at Oldham away, and then the following day you were back at the Belfry for the Ryder Cup. Can you give us a flavour of that story again, if you don't mind?
He chucked a cup of tea on. He tried to throw it on the floor, but it's just gone all over me, and it boiling hot tea. But he meant, you know, when you're raging, and he's thrown it, and it's gone over me like I couldn't believe it. It's raging. And then we went back out second half. He went, some of us can sulk, or he's starting to feel guilty. You know, he's feeling guilty that he's thrown tea over me. And I scored after about, I can't remember, it was like right after half time, I think. And I think it was a header. I think Ray Houghton crossed it for me, header. And I scored straight away. And Ron's on the pitch giving it the old.
Claiming credit
and
for
as you
it.
can imagine, I'm going, ends in off, and he's taking the credit for the goal. Like that's how funny he was. He's trying to take credit of that now because he's thrown a cup of tea on me. Anyway, Dalian scores a screamer, and we win the game. So the Ryder Cup at the Belfries the next day, and he knew me and Steve Staunton were going in the Lucas Electrical tent, hospitality, and he was going. So we get on the bus, and he's going, Dino, trying to get round me. Dino, you know I love you. You know I love you. He goes, come on, pal. Don't blank me at the Ryder Cup, will you, tomorrow? Don't blank me. Come on. You know I love you. Come on. You know it was an accident. I went, well, I said, chucking tea. I went, so order gaffer, chucking tea over me. Come on. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? Come on. Don't blank me tomorrow. He said at the Ryder Cup. I'll be there. See you there. So we get off the bus, and me and Steve Staunton were in there. We're eating our food and the thing. And we said, come on, let's go and watch them putting. So we go up to the putting green. Corey Pavin's putting. And as we're watching him, behind him, coming out, cowboy hat on, Hawaiian shirt, cream trousers, with Maggie, his wife, and his mate, Ron, tanned up. And he sees me and Steve Staunton, and he goes, Dino, across, he's shouting at the top, Dino, did I ever tell you you're my hero? And Corey Pavin stopped putting. He looked round at Ron, and Ron went, Corey, I don't care what you're about to do out there today, son. You should have seen the goal he scored yesterday. Corey Pavin's just looking at him, didn't have a clue who he was. And then he comes round, walks on the putting green. I think, oh, here he comes. He's coming round. And Maggie's wife, I said he threw a cup of tea over me yesterday, Maggie. She goes, hey, you, have you been throwing tea over your players, you fat bastard? What are you doing that for? He goes, well, it was an accident, Maggie. It was an accident, but it worked. I must say, it did work. He scored a good goal.
Was it that though, Dino? Because you told the story earlier about, you know, him digging Ugo out after he's had a nightmare debut. But he can only do that because when you have done something well, there's so much love and so much warmth from him, I imagine.
Yeah. He said to me, I learned something really valuable. He come in at half-time one day and he said, Jim, shut the door. Shut the door, Jim. So the dressing room door shuts. I thought, here we go. He goes, see you two, me and Dalian. How many times have you got the ball back for your team today? quiz question. And we're looking at him thinking, what do you mean? He goes, quiz question. How many times have you got the ball back for your team today? I'll tell you the answer. 0. And just walked off. Right? Just walked off. So I'm thinking, what does he mean by that? We're strikers. What do you mean? Does he mean tackle the defenders? Start tackling? And that's exactly what he did mean. So Dalian's gone, what, does he expect us to tackle like, does he? I went, yeah. We better start like, so instead of when you watch players now going through the motions, closing down at the top end of the pitch, we actually used to put our foot in. It's a slight difference in your thinking.
Yeah.
But after he said that to me and Dalian, you have a look how many goals we scored where we robbed the ball off 2 centre-backs. He actually made us all feel like you got to try and get the ball back off the opposition, not shadow boxing, running alongside him, pretending to run after him.
Yeah.
Put your foot in and get the ball off him. And after that, I done that for the rest of my career. If somebody had said to me, if you do this for a season, you'll score 6 more goals.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it? I go, yeah, of course I would. And that's how it worked. I thought if you keep snapping away at people, like they'll kick a clearance against you, the clearance hits your leg and goes in Dalian's path. Things like that, goals. We would force defenders into making mistakes. And on the TV, they would call it mistake, but we'd force them into bad things happening to them.
But that's really quite subtle from Ron, though, isn't it? To be honest, just to kind of knows that he'll get that level out of you just by almost like sowing the seeds. He just kind of drops a little seed and then just retreats, basically.
Yeah, and then he had Jim Barron, Jim Walker, Jim Paul. They all played the part. They were like policemen. The soft cops. They were the soft cops who used to go around saying, like Jim Paul said to me once, son, don't say anything. The gaffer's had a big bet on you today to score first. I never told you that. So if you think about what that means, it means the manager actually likes me. And he actually thinks I am going to score first before everybody else.
Yeah.
So without actually saying a word to me, he got Jim Paul. He never had the bet. He never had the bet. Jim Paul just made it up.
Yeah.
But Ron had told him to tell me, go and tell Dino that I've had a big bet on him to score the first goal. So they like, we talk about now, managers now, is he a good manager? Is he good? Like Bill Shankly and, Alex Ferg, they were all masters at.
Yeah.
They were obviously good at knowing what to say to the players to make them feel like they can achieve, on the pitch. They knew what to say to you, and they knew when to give you a rollicking. When you got a rollicking, Ron would come in some days and go, "You might as well get your boots and go. Might as well play someone else." They talk like that, like catting.
Was it the way he went about picking the five-a-side team, and whoever he didn't pick in training, he'd use it as an excuse to have a little dig at them to keep them on the toes because they didn't perform up to standard the game before? No,
yeah. So we'd come in on Monday. So we'd come in on Monday morning, and Ron obviously played right wing every day. Kes, the film Kes, where's the school team. So it was his ball. And he was captain. He had first pick. So we'd have an 8v8, 9v9 every day. He used to use it as a weapon to actually tell you what he thought of you. So he'd say, right, he'd pick a different captain every week to play. He was captain of one team and he'd pick somebody else. Right, he'd say, like, Kevin Richardson, you can be captain today. But with him, he wouldn't say much with Kev because he was the captain.
Yeah.
But he'd say something like, Dwight, you can be captain today, Dwight. So Dwight to be captain. And he going, right, go on, you can have first pick, Dwight. And he go, I'll have Dalian, first pick. And Ron would go, oh. Did you not watch the game Saturday, Dwight? Did you not watch how he played Saturday? Bang off form. Bang off form. My pick, Ugo Ehiogu, 7 out of 10 every day. Know what I'm going to get. Ugo is my first pick. Right? So that's him giving Ugo a pat on the back. Your pick, Dwight. He go, Dino. And he go, oh, pitch is too small. Pitch is too small. He needs grass to run into. 5-a-sides is not his game. Dwight, you'll never make a manager as long as you got all in your arse. But everyone that Dwight picked, he'd go, oh. What are you thinking about, Dwight, picking him? And then he would always pick the prefects, like the ones who, you know, like Paul McGrath, Rolls Royce of a player. I'll have Paul. If he turns up, he is a Rolls Royce. He's here today. And then he go Dwight and say, Tony Daly, oh. You won't make 5 passes together with that team. And honestly, you couldn't help laughing, but it was his way of having a dig, like, you know, lost his pace. Don't pick him, lost his pace.
I don't know whether you get this flashback, but whenever I hear, do you remember Dino by Dex's Midnight Runners that they used to play before the? So whenever I only have to do it, ba 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 ba, and it all comes flooding back, all the goals, all the fun, all the mischief. I just always associate that with you forevermore now.
Yeah, when we used to run out to it.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. And funnily, Dexy's Midnight Runners, and my mum's name is Eileen.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so the other one is Come On, Eileen.
Can you remember the chant that we used to have for you? Dino, Dino, Dino scores and we want some more. Not one, not two, not three, not four. Dino scores and we want some more.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah. Hey, it's a lot better than getting booed, isn't it, when you're a manager?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I will leave you go in a minute, but I think I've seen you. It might have been when you were on with Alan McNally the other week when you were talking about when you went on your managerial journey and you were with Graham with Wales. No, sorry, you were with Graham at a couple of places, and then you were the assistant boss with Wales, and then you were at Wolves and stuff. I don't know. I think sometimes it's probably good that you keep your legacy. You know, you could have rocked up a Villa.
I used to think one day I'll be manager of Villa one day. I used to think, you know, and I was on course. I done all right at Wrexham, done all right at Doncaster, and then obviously I went to Wolves, and you know, I was only there 3.5 months, 20 games I had, something like that. But it knocked me off course a bit. You know, obviously when you're a manager, I've been sacked twice. I've been at 8 clubs, and I've been sacked twice. So you're either doing well and you move on that way. But now, I mean, years ago, when you went to a club as a manager, you'd buy a house, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then they pack that in, you get a rented house. Then it went from a rented house to hotel room.
Yeah.
And now it's a flipping caravan. Just park the caravan outside the ground, because when you get the job, there's normally problems at the club. You know, most managers know what they're doing. I think all the managers, they all understand football. They can all see the obvious. You know, like your right back's costing you goals.
Yeah.
Another mistake from the right back, or the goalkeeper is chucking them in every week. You can see the obvious. But sometimes you get a group of, it's like, actually Wolves now, Rob Edwards has just got the job. And it feels like it's a bit of a sinking ship. And you've got to try and stop it sinking. It's not the case of doing well at the league. It's just stopping them from sinking into the league below. And that's your job. It's like, and sometimes you've got different groups of players being signed by different managers. They want to leave for whatever reason. So until you get a group of players who are all in the boat, rowing in the same direction as you, you can't be consistent. If you've got a few people in that boat who don't want to be in it, it stops the others doing well. And it does take. If I was to say now, how long do you think it would take you? I'd say if you give me a decent budget, it'd take me 18 months, 2 years to get a team on the pitch that's miles better than the one you've got now.
Yeah.
I would be confident I could do it. But if you're only going to give me five weeks, 12 weeks, all I'm doing is just putting plasters on the wounds, and but playing football is the best. Management is second.
Yeah.
And then what I'm doing now, I'm talking about football on the radio. I'm still earning a living out of football on the TV and the radio. And the best part about that is I've never missed a chance. I never make a mistake. I never pick the wrong team. But if I get a chance, a project comes up that I think is a doable, like the owner's budget he gives me matches the ambition they've got, then you take the job on. If you've got the lowest budget in the league and the owners expect you to win the league, that's got the sack written all over it. You're going to get sacked. So ideally, you want an owner that says, look, we've got the 6th highest budget in the league. Can you get us promoted? At least playoffs. That's what you want to hear as a coach, because you then back yourself to jump above 5 teams.
Yeah.
That have spent more than you.
Yeah.
They've spent more than you, but I still back myself to get above them. If I get an opportunity like that, I'm confident I can do it. I mean, I like you. If you understand football a little bit, if you're at a football club and your right back is costing you goals, but you haven't got any money to change him, and you keep picking him because you got no one else, and the fans are going, why does he keep picking him? You can't say, I haven't got any money. He's got 2 years left on his contract, and I can't get rid of him. Yeah. And I can't afford to get another right back in. So you've got your hands tied behind your back. But I've played football all my life, and I've been paid to play football. I would have played for nothing. If everybody was playing for nothing, I would have played for nothing. But, what you do in the end, you get the going rate, don't you? What am I worth? You know what you're worth. Yeah. I want to be paid what I'm worth.
Do you get a chance to get down to Villa Park every so often now, Dean?
Every now and again I go out, like I'd be on the TV. Surprisingly, there's TV games go out all over the world, Indonesia, Malaysia. And that's why you see so many people on the side of the pitch now, pundits. Yeah. So I get to do a few of the games, and I get to see everyone. It's lovely when, you walk in there and everybody remembers you. And I always say to my players, when I'm coaching them, I'm not boasting, but I can go back to all the clubs I used to play for. Only because I tried. Yeah. The fans don't care. As long as you try. Yeah. The fans don't care about the things you get wrong. If you don't try, they don't forgive you for anything. Yeah. But if you give 100%, the fans will welcome you in the future. Oh, yeah, I remember him. Because all they remember is he used to try.
We had 3 brilliant years of you, Dino. So I think I've gone through Rob Bishop's complete record. 49 goals, 144 appearances, club record signing. I think he scored 16 goals, 17 goals. The first player to score a hat-trick for Villa in the Premier League. We wish we could have had so many more. What was the kind of tipping point? Was it the release clause that led to kind of Brian selling you in the end?
Yeah, and I think, I can't remember. The clauses changed in my contract, and Graham Souness knew what the figure was. And Everton bid 2 million for me on the transfer deadline before the end of the season before. And Brian Little come to me and said, Everton have just made a bid for you. Just thought I'd better let you know. You don't want to go, do you? I went, no. I stayed. I signed I had signed a new contract. And then what Graham Souness come back in for me, didn't he? They matched the fee. Being honest, I just thought we started treading water a bit. I thought the owner wasn't putting the money in. like he had been. It's like as if he'd slammed the brakes on a bit. And I thought we were a couple of players. Like I remember thinking, if we had Mark Hughes and Lee Sharp to our squad, players like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking we're gonna go forward again. But anyway, these things happen, and they made me an offer, and I went over there, and Graham talked me into signing. And I always wanted to have a go at playing abroad, and I was 31, and I thought if I leave it too late, they're not going to see the best of me.
Yeah.
If I go there and make a disaster. So I always wanted to have a go at playing abroad. So that's what I done. But I probably should have stayed. Really, I shouldn't have gone. But these things happen, don't they? I enjoyed it. My time there, it was brilliant.
No, well, listen, we loved having you there. It was a real treat. I'm getting a big nostalgic glow now from thinking back about it, and it's been a pleasure for you to give us so much of your time to relive it as well.
No problem. Thanks very much.
So until next time, you've been watching Claret Blue podcast with me, Mat Kendrick, and the legend that is Dino Saunders. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.